Hey you guys, I'm gonna show you how I turned this basic mirror from Walmart to this Regal gold fancy design of mirror. This was actually a project that was a necessity because one of my gold mirrors broke and the one that I wanted to replace it with was out of stock. So I had to get creative. So the original mirror was like $10, $15 from Walmart. I got some plastic wrap on the ground and I actually got these little decor things from Amazon. I'll tag those, and I got some Gorilla Glue from Walmart, some Krylon paint and primer, and I also got some Krylon metallic gold paint, and then I also got a Krylon UV resistant clear coating to kind of lock it all in. So to start with, I put the Gorilla Glue on the back of these decals that are going to be on the edges of the mirror. I put the glue around all of the corners and the frame of this fixture. And once I got the glue on it, as you can see, it was covered on the corners. I pressed it down to the corner of the mirror. And once I put it down, I just made sure it was at the right placement because it did start to get a little slippery because it was still wet. And I just had to slightly and lightly press it until it started to adhere and not be as slippery. And then I did the same thing on the next corner. Here's a little closer view of what I did. Opening the Gorilla Glue and kind of putting it along the corners, just a little drip. Nothing that's like soaking, but just enough to make sure it's covering those edges. So where I place it, it will latch to and it's going to hold and hold for a long period of time because I don't want this to fall apart. So yes, you probably could use another glue, but Gorilla Glue is probably the most trusted one that I could think of. So yeah, I went ahead and added that glue on those edges, and I left that part near my finger open because it's going to be near the mirror. Actually, it's going to be more so near the drop of the frame where it kind of decreases into close to the mirror. But nonetheless, I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to press it down, give it a little pressure, not a whole lot, just a little bit. And that's just to make sure it doesn't move while it's setting and drying. So I did that on that corner, pressed it down real nicely. And once that was pressed down, I went on to make sure the other one was secure and did it again. Actually, I found out this one was broken. So I'm actually reattaching this broken one that I saw. As you can see, I'm putting the edge of it back. That Gorilla Glue does not fail. When I tell you, it dries really quickly and it allowed me to put one back together that I broke in like seconds. So definitely love on that Gorilla Glue. Yeah, so I'm repeating the process on this next portion, as you can see. So yeah, this process probably took me a total of not long. It definitely was less than 10 minutes. So naturally, I would say it dried once you pressed it down onto the corners of the mirror within the first like 2 minutes. But of course, they say you're supposed to let it cure for about an hour or so before you start moving it around and doing a whole bunch of unnecessary things. But I honestly, as soon as I pressed these down and I knew they were secure, I went on to spray painting them. So you're going to see me work on that last one real quick and make sure I secure that down. And that's it, y'all. That's how it looks once I got those secured onto the mirror. And that's basically the raw look of it. And now I'm putting these cardboards on, and that's to make sure when I spray paint these mirrors, I don't turn the mirror a different, color as far as the gold doesn't go through. There was probably 1,000 different ways I could do this, but I went with the most convenient way because I had cardboard from shipping packages. I had these boxes, so I'm like, let me just work with what I got. So I was really making sure that I secured the tape along that line where the box aligned with the mirror, just so there wouldn't be any openings for the spray paint to go through. So when you do this part, make sure you're very mindful that there is no gaps where spray can get through onto your mirror or your whatever part that you don't want to be covered with paint, because once it gets on it, it is hard to get out. There was a couple of them that I did, or the first one that I did where a little bit of the paint had went through the corner. So really take the time to make sure it's covering the brim, it's sealed on every corner. Not so much that it's covering what needs to be sprayed, of course, but making sure that it's covering everything that you don't want sprayed securely. So take your time with it, press it in, and that's what mine looked like once it was done. The tape is covering all the holes. It's really aligned with the mirror. And now it's time to spray paint. Now, really, you should do this outdoors because the smell of the paint can get a little abrasive. So, thankfully, my salon space is pretty wide, kind of ventilated. And I didn't work that day. I gave it, a whole day to clear out. But, I did have to take my time in making sure that I didn't spray so much that I got winded or started to get lightheaded. So really be mindful when you're doing the spray painting that you don't cause yourself to pass out, because I felt like I was going to pass out, if I can be honest, at certain points of this process. It was sped up, of course, but I would say after 2 layers of painting, you felt a little bit like I need to walk out. So I did 2 layers. This is the first layer. And I'm making sure I'm a little bit more of a distance from the mirror. You shouldn't do it too close when you spray paint it, because if you're too close, it spatters and gives like a little mark of like, indentation from the pressure of the spray paint. So just make sure that you are at a safe, healthy distance when you spray paint this, because it could go left and it might be something you want to clean up if you do it too close. So yeah, I'm going through touching up areas that look like it wasn't painted, and I am making sure it looks clear and consistent on each part where you can't see through and you can't see the wood. I'm double checking it, and then this is my second layer, y'all. Now that I have gotten the first layer, I'm doing the second layer of paint, working that in, taking my time. And then after you do the second layer of paint, you go through the same process with the acrylic spray. And the acrylic coating is just to make sure it doesn't fade. And we let that set for about 2 hours. And the finished product, I probably didn't touch it for like 3 hours or 4. And that's really all we did. And this is the final product. This is my mirror, spray painted gold. I think it's beautiful. Like, to the left is a mirror that was already gold. But this second one, I spray painted to match the aesthetic of the one that was already gold. And I'm not mad at it. Like, I feel real good about it. I think it looks nice. Anyone who's a major painter, it looks really close. They might see some imperfections. But for the most part, it did what I need to do. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.